Hi, I'm Dave Colon, America's beloved congestion pricing expert. Today, we're going to watch U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy on CBS News as he tries and fails to explain the program that he's currently trying to kill.
Why can't New York City determine what it wants to charge for people to come in and out?
So we give them the authority, number one, and so the American taxpayer, the New York taxpayer, funded those streets. And the way the governor set this up is, she said, even though you already paid for these streets, you can't use those streets unless you pay an additional toll.
Come on, let's all be serious. What are you, 150 years old? You paid for 6th Avenue? You paid for West 49th Street? No, you didn't.
Well, if I'm the taxpayer, I'm like, I already paid for the street. Why am I paying an additional toll to the taxes I already paid? There's no free pathway into that cordoned area.
Cordoned? Cordoned? I am curious, is it cordoned? Yeah, right. But anyway, there are plenty of free ways to get into the cordoned area. You can park somewhere else and walk. You can take a nice bike ride. I guess those are the only two free ways because transit isn't free, but it's cheaper than driving. Right,
so if you're a middle income or a lower income shopper or worker, you can't access public roads by any means.
If you're a low income or a middle income worker in New York City, the odds are very high that you're already accessing public roads, public streets in New York City, but you're doing it via the subway or the express bus or the Long Island Railroad or the Metro North, maybe even Amtrak, the local bus or select bus service. There are plenty of ways to get into Lower Manhattan. It's just that if you want to do it with a car, you're making it worse for everybody else around you. And so you kind of have to pay for that.
Into this area, that's flat out wrong. And we've never had a program like that where there's not a free public road to get in to a certain area, number one. Number two, she never did a study to say, I really care about congestion. I want to reduce congestion, so I'm going to look at how much money should I charge in a toll and how much will that reduce congestion.
Do not talk to me about a fucking study. It's 4,000 pages. I went to the library once and I took it out of the library and it was 3 gigantic books this big. They were very excited, by the way, that I took it out. They said I was the first person to ever do that. There was a study. It looked at all of the things that you are about to say to us. Well, I don't think that a study looked at this. Get your assistant to find it for you. They can even read it to you if you want.
That analysis was never done.
Yes, it was.
So instead of paying $9, could someone pay $5 and reduce congestion? Or $3 to reduce congestion? She didn't do that. She set a pricing, and so maybe the question is, why did you set it at $9? What was the purpose of setting a $9 toll? If it's not for congestion, was it to raise money for public transportation? I don't know, but...
You don't know? You don't know? You're sitting here sending letters saying, we can't do this, we can't do that. You don't even know why they did congestion pricing? Well, I will explain it to you. One is they did do it to reduce congestion. There was a whole thing in the 4,000-page study about how much various prices that you charge to get into Lower Manhattan would impact congestion from $9 to $23. Second of all, they did do it so that they could raise money for mass transit. Because in its own way, giving more money to mass transit, especially from a toll surplus, means that you can get more people off the road in the future. And then you reduce congestion that way in a really fun, indirect way. They also did it, as the study shows, because they wanted to make air quality better in the region. They wanted to reduce noise pollution. They wanted it to make it just a more pleasant place to live.
Again, that's the analysis I think the taxpayer would expect. And if we're going to give approvals, I want to make sure the public can access this cordoned area.
Cordoned. Also, if you're giving approvals, what do you think you were studying for the last 2 years? I mean, not you, the people with half a fucking brain who were working for the FHWA. You were studying the actual document that taxpayers can take a look at and that you can also look at.
On some of the roads that they paid for, I want to make sure that if she's going to charge a fee, a toll, she's going to charge an amount that's going to actually reduce congestion, not just raise money for public transportation.
It has reduced congestion. It's reduced congestion all over Lower Manhattan. And it's also raising money for public transportation, which is a good thing, unless you think that in and of itself is a bad thing, in which case, just tell us.
So you could be open to a congestion pricing
no.
scheme, but you want different.
100%. Listen,
data.
I think there's a lot of great ideas around congestion pricing.
Yes, it's called congestion pricing in New York City.
And how we can reduce it, but you can't take American taxpayers who paid for roads and block them out and say you can't access this unless you pay additional money. And that's what she's done. And so I think that's flat out wrong. I look at, again, if you're a waiter or a waitress or a bartender, or you're working in a department store, that you got to pay this fee if you want to drive to the city.
You're a waiter or a waitress or a bartender in Manhattan? In lower goddamn Manhattan? Look, I don't know how they do things in Wisconsin at Fred's Drunk Driving Hub. Take your car on over there and you park in the free parking lot, and then everybody just kind of swerves on home at the end of the night. But here in New York City, if you're a waiter or a waitress or a bartender, especially in lower Manhattan, you're taking public transit to get to work, because where the fuck are you going to store your car when you drive it here? In front of the bar where there's free street parking? No! Hey, Sean, come visit New York sometime. We'll take you on a nice tour, take you to Dimes Square, they'll love you over there, and you'll see how waiters and waitresses and bartenders get to and from work here.
Is flat out wrong. I think it's a war on the working class Americans who work in that space. And it's a favor to the rich people. The rich people can pay the toll. It doesn't bother them.
Rich people in New York own cars. Poor people don't.
And they get the poor people and the middle income people off the roads so they can get in faster. It's flat out, I think, wildly unfair. And again, in government, when you pay for something, you shouldn't have to pay a second time so she can raise money for public transportation.
Oh, you should have to pay a second time after you've already built something? Motherfucker, every day I ride the subway, I pay. In fact, I pay twice. I pay coming to work, I pay going home. A night like tonight, I pay 3 or 4 times even because I'm taking the subway to go play basketball. But now you're telling me that apparently this is some kind of philosophical no-no. Well, great. Thank you, Sean Duffy, for saying that the Republican U.S. DOT Secretary supports free transit for everyone. What a breakthrough this has been, asshole.